Welcome to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast, where we share tips, techniques, and true stories to support you in using the law of attraction and alchemy to create magic and live the life of your dreams. Here's your host, the founder of DailyAlchemy.com, Michelle Martin Dobbins.
Hey there, it is Michelle Martin Dobbins from DailyAlchemy.com, and today's episode is entitled And I Love It, and this is a quote from Kyle Cease. If you're not familiar with Kyle, he is a comedian turned motivational speaker who's still quite funny. I guess he's still kind of a comedian too. And he has some amazing work out there in the world, so just go Google him. And before I go into this, I will tell you, I resisted so hard. I had people telling me I needed to listen to him, and I just even when I tried to listen to him, I couldn't. But as happens often, when I resist something, it is the thing that is going to be very beneficial to me. So when I finally lightened up and was able to stop resisting and just kind of listen to what he was saying, I found that his message was really just struck a chord with me. And one of the things that he'll often say is, I love it. No matter what's going on, I stubbed my toe and I love it, or whatever. And so I wanted to kind of bring this up to you because I've noticed I've been just fighting a lot of things in my life tooth and nail, and for the past 4 to 6 months. And now I find that they are things that are beneficial to me. And that's another message that's been popping up for me. So I kind of wanted to share it with you. And that message is that life is always happening for you. Not to you, not against you, but for you. And, sometimes it seems the opposite. But when you get away from that big picture, when you get away from the big picture, when you get away from the little picture and you see the big picture, and we can't always see it from our perspective. We just can't. It's been weird. My husband and my son have gotten into drones lately, and they're flying these drones and they're taking these pictures of drones. And I'm like, oh my gosh, our house, our neighborhood, all these places that we go look totally different from that perspective. And it's been kind of eye-opening to me to remember that there are so many perspectives that we can see things from. So, that being said, look at what's going on in your life and love it. It's a basic tenet of alchemy. It's a basic tenet of the law of attraction, because whatever you resist persists. That's the oldest, most cliched thing, right? But it is very true. So I wanted to share with you a quote from Kyle, because I've been pushing up in one area of my life particularly, and you may have different areas of your life. And one is the past for me. And I think a lot of us do this. We have these stories of right now, I can't do something in this moment because in my past, happened. And that's bullcrap, right? I know that's bullcrap, right? But I tell myself that, well, this is how it happened in the past, or this person did this to me in the past, or I don't have this certain experience in my past, so that certainly means I can't do this in my present, right? It's crazy. So I came along a quote. It's actually a Facebook post from Kyle Cease, and I wanted to share it here and just touch on that topic of loving what is. I'm going to go ahead and read the post to you. And it may push some buttons for you, because the first sentence of the post, and this is his quote, "Your past is completely fictional." Okay, I'm going to come back and read the rest of the quote in just a second, but that pushed a lot of buttons for me, because I'm making up a lot of stories about a lot of things that have happened, and those things are the reasons why, And I don't think I'm alone in that. And whenever someone tells me that my past is fictional, I'm like, but you don't understand. So have an open mind. Listen to the quote for a second and let it really soak in because there's freedom in it. Your past is completely fictional. It does not exist at all. You are the only moment now that you are only the moment now that you are reading this or listening to this, as the case may be. People like to pretend that their past exists. They identify themselves by things that they have accomplished in the past, but that is not now. You may have had bad things happen to you in the past, but that is not now. The past happened, but so what? It is not now. Almost all of us are choosing to carry a backpack of stories, problems, and memories with us. But guess what? That is not what is happening now. People like to think it's right now. They will literally tell you a story about something bad that happened to them. You stand there and watch as they tell you. It is absolutely fascinating for me to watch someone just tell me a bad story that happened to them and watch them start tensing up or crying while they're saying what happened. Your body is reacting to a thought, and he has thought in all caps, not the event that happened. That was in the past, and you're literally resisting now what happened in the past. You want to be completely free. Embrace your past, no matter what happened to you, no matter how awful it is, just love it. You can tell me how insensitive that is. You can say whatever you want, but guess what is worse than the thing that happened in the past? You are in a new moment fighting the thought of it. So you're still fighting, you're still stressed, you're still making yourself tense, and what's worse, you're making decisions from this tense place. Do what you want in your own life, but my advice is to choose to forgive everyone in your past. That is when you become stronger than ever. Forgiving someone does not mean you're okay with what they did. You're unhooking them from the story. You're unhooking yourself from the story. You are free. Whether you like it or not, that is how it works. You can't change the past at all. And I'll digress and say I sort of disagree with Kyle on that point, but people try to for their entire lives. They sit in new, safe places, angry. Undo your own torture and the torture of those around you. Forgive others, forgive yourselves, and free yourself from the invisible backpack that is truly the one small thing, a thought. You are not that thought. You are only this moment. When that thought shows up, understand that it's just a passing thought. Love it. Don't fight it. It will be gone before you know it. One of my favorite quotes I've ever heard was from Byron Katie. She said, "I know that thing was supposed to happen because it did." And that's the end of the quote. And I'm sorry, I kind of butchered it. But yeah, we are doing this. We are getting ourselves stuck in these old stories and carrying them around. And you can't transfer the lead of your life into gold if you just keep looking at it and saying, it's lead. It's lead, it's lead, it's lead. Oh my God, look at all the lead. That doesn't work. You have to start seeing it as gold. You have to start seeing it as something that worked for you. That being said, I've had some really good experiences with changing the past. So I would say, if you are stuck, love what is, love what you're feeling in this moment, and let everybody off the hook. And one way to do that is to play with those exercises, though, of letting go, of changing the past if you want to. And a lot of people don't even want to do that because that lets the other person off the hook too, right? And the point is you have to set them free to set yourself free. And even if they're on the hook in your mind, it doesn't make them on the hook in their life. They actually get to choose what they're thinking. So you can sit around for years and years and years and years and years and years and think, they ruined my life, and it's not going to ruin their life. It's only going to continue to ruin yours. They may have ruined a moment in your mind, but you're going to ruin so many more getting stuck ruminating about what they did. So, and sometimes it's not even a they. Sometimes it's just, events that aren't tied to one person. That just things that happen. So, here's my take on that. if you can just let it go right now and love it as it is, that is fabulous. If you want to play with changing the past and loving that new story, that's okay too. And, some people may say that you're fooling yourself. And, whatever gets you to that place of being here now and being ready to be fully present, to me, is okay. So for me, transforming the past is perfectly acceptable. Now, because we can't time travel, we don't know if we've really transformed the past. But I've done exercises where I've changed a certain event that happened and with a person. And I'm going to give you an example that someone gave me because I think it's even probably more profound than my examples, but then I'll give you my example. The one is a man who had fell as a child, a swing broke and it fell and it hurt his back. And so from there on, his back was, it had been damaged and he had issues with it for his whole life. So he went back in meditative process and imagined, right? Imagination is a very strong, powerful thing. Imagine that it happened differently and just kept retelling that story in his mind of himself swinging and then getting off the swing before it broke and it didn't happen. And lo and behold, his back got better. So in that case, you can look at it one or two ways. He knew, you can be the person who says, I know that was supposed to happen and my back was supposed to be hurt and it's the universe working for me. And I'm sure it totally is. I'm sure that there are blessings in that for him. But then he was able to go back and shift that past and have his back get better. So, there are those who would say you should just stick with not changing it and accepting it. And that is that's a perfectly valid way to live a happy life. And as I'm saying this is probably why I get somewhat tangled up with some of the things that Kyle says, even though I think they're brilliant, which is I like to be one who go back and play and dabble in the past and see what I can change. But in that, you're still, you're not being stuck. You're not saying that I can't live a happy life because this happened. You're saying, I'm going to be curious and see how much power do I have in this situation to change my mind about what happened and will that affect an outcome? And I found for myself, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm okay with that because I've shifted how I felt about it, no matter what the actual outcome is. For me, one of the biggest workings that I've done in this area is I had a relative that I dearly love who I made some mistakes. She made some mistakes. We made mistakes. And I went back in my mind and replayed this big argument that I had with her. And as it just happened differently and it was very lovingly resolved. And, that was just how I decided to play that out in my mind. Several times I think I did it. And I think sometimes you just, if you're asking how many times you do it until it's done, which means that you're not worried about it anymore. The thought is shifted and you can love where you are and not worry about, you're not stuck. You're not sitting there feeling angry or worried or upset about what happened. You've shifted it in your mind. And that's when you're done. And whether or not there's a change in your present timeline, it may take time to see. It may happen. It may not. The important thing, it really is that you have shifted your mind. But in my case, very shortly after doing this, she contacted me and things were just so much better than they had been in years. And we became really close again. So I've kind of gone in a circle here telling you how much I love his advice, and I do love his advice, but I also feel that you have a choice. You can take the left-hand path or the right-hand path. And, the right-hand path is just to accept things as they are and follow that. And, that works out beautifully a lot of the time. And then there's the thing, accept things as they are and do a little bit of work in your mind to change them. And right now I'm talking about the past, but this can work on all different levels. And I think alchemy is that's the steps that you take when you decide to change the lead into gold. There are many paths to a happy life, and one is just accepting that lead is lead, and the other is trying to turn it into gold, but also I think part of that is just being really okay with that process. So, and however it turns out. So it kind of comes back to the other path again of being okay with what is. I mean, in the ultimate message, I guess, or the ultimate thing is that if you're okay with what is, you can't be hurt. If you love what is and you're aware that the world is working for us, then you don't suffer. I won't say you can't be hurt, and I won't say you can't experience pain, but you don't experience suffering, because suffering is self-created. Pain happens in this world, but suffering is when we just continue to ruminate on the past, or we're stuck in fear for the present and we're not here in this moment. Because I would agree with Kyle that, right now is where we are. Now is the only power and the only moment that we have. So I would love to hear what your thoughts on this. Do you believe that your past is fictional? That it's a story that's not really real and doesn't have to affect you in this moment any more than you choose for it to? And how do you deal with it? Do you just drop the story, or do you go back and change the story? Have you had any experiences of changing an old story? I would love to hear about that. You can reach me at dailyalchemy.com. There are icons there that get you to all of my social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, and whatnot. And you can also shoot me an email. So have a magical day and live in this day right now. Namaste and big hugs. Would you like some help creating more magic in your life? I've got a ton of freebies and goodies for you. They're all tucked away inside my magical freebie vault. You can get free access, though. You just have to go to www.dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. Again, that's dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. And when you get there, you can just plug in your name and email, and you will get instant access to all kinds of goodies. There are daily and weekly manifesting planners, the How to Shift Your Vibe in 5 Minutes e-kit that has audios and a workbook. There are moon manifesting planners and daily love lists and money trackers and all kinds of goodies right there. I didn't want to make you have to go to a bunch of different pages and sites and wait for certain freebies to come out. So I just took all of my freebies and put them in one place where you could just sign up one time and download any of them that you want at any time that you needed. So you can just head on over to dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault and download them today. Have a magical day.
Thanks for listening to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast. Connect with me on thedailyalchemy.com or Facebook at facebook.com/Michelle Dobbins, author. Join us next time for even more magical life tips.